Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're tackling a deeply frustrating experience almost all of us go through. You hit apply, and then absolute silence. It feels super personal, right? It just drains your energy. But what if I told you that silence isn't a mystery at all? Actually, it's a highly specific diagnostic tool. Once you learn how to read it, that silence acts like a signal telling you exactly what is broken in your application process. Today, we're going to transform how you interpret all that silence.
All right, here's the diagnostic framework we'll be using. We'll start by decoding job rejection silence. Then we'll break down the 4 key stages. That's pre-screening, phantom postings, volume stacks, and in-process. Finally, we'll wrap up with the new diagnostic framework. Let's get to it.
You know, the silence you hear after applying is exhausting for a very specific reason. Research actually confirms that unresolved uncertainty triggers more sustained stress than a clear negative outcome. Just think about that for a second. A blunt rejection email actually gives your brain permission to close the loop and move on. But silence? It just keeps that loop wide open, literally draining your energy every single time you hit refresh on your inbox. But once you realize that this silence actually carries structural information, you can stop stressing and start fixing the exact point of failure. So, stage 1, pre-screening. Here's what pre-screening silence looks like from the outside. You apply through a job board. Within hours, you get an automated email confirming your application was received. And then, you hear absolutely nothing. Ever. Now, the crucial part is understanding what's actually happening behind the scenes. Your application likely ranked below a certain threshold by the tracking system, meaning it never even surfaced in a human search. But listen, this isn't about a lack of experience. It's actually a terminology gap between how you describe your past work and the exact language used in the new job description. To put a number on this, internal analysis shows that 68% of candidates who report getting no response are using job titles and skill descriptions that are 2 to 3 terminology generations behind the actual job posting. For example, let's say you have 5 years of experience in client relationship management, but the new role explicitly asks for customer success management. You're going to score low. The system parsing the resumes simply didn't find the exact text string it was looking for. It's like a matching game where the pieces don't quite fit. The fix here isn't just blindly stuffing keywords into your resume. It's really about outcome alignment. So here are your immediate action steps. First, paste the job description and your resume into a single document side by side. Next, look for category misalignments. If your resume says you manage social media accounts, but the job description asks for someone who drove audience growth through organic content strategy, you need to update your wording to reflect those exact outcomes. Repeat this for every single application. It literally takes 15 minutes and it absolutely works. Let's move on to stage 2, phantom postings. Phantom posting silence happens when you apply to a role that seems absolutely perfect. The listing is detailed, it looks recent, but weeks later, it vanishes without a trace. What's really happening here is that the role was never genuinely open to external candidates in the first place. You were simply part of a procedural requirement. Companies often post jobs publicly for regulatory compliance, or just to justify a budget for headcount they've already decided to fill internally. So, no way around it, you were never actually competing. So, how do you spot these mirages before wasting your time? You gotta look at the calendar. If a listing has been active for more than 45 days without a closure notice, that is your primary signal of a stalled or phantom posting. It's often kept active automatically while internal deliberations are happening behind closed doors. Here is your action plan to avoid the phantom trap. First, always check the age of the listing. If it's over 45 days old, be highly suspicious. Second, search LinkedIn for the company and that exact job title. If you see someone currently holding that role and their profile has gone totally quiet over the last 90 days, the posting might just be a backfill for an internal move. If you see these signs, just skip the online portal entirely. Redirect your energy toward direct outreach instead. Now for stage 3, volume stacks. We call this the stack silence. You have genuinely strong credentials, you apply, and you get 0 response. There's no indication a human ever saw it. And the harsh truth is, a human probably didn't see it. You landed in a volume stack. The role received significantly more applications than the recruiting team had the bandwidth to review. Your applications simply landed in the bottom 2/3 of the stack, and the recruiter had already found what they needed in the top third. You see, recruiters are often managing 8 to 15 open roles simultaneously. Because of this massive workload, they typically only review the first 30 to 50 resumes submitted. And those 30 to 50 resumes, they almost always come in during the first 72 hours after a posting goes live. So if you applied on day 4, you didn't miss out because of your skills, you simply missed the review window.
To bypass the volume stack, you absolutely need to change your timing. Step 1, set daily, not weekly, job alerts for your target companies. Step 2, you must apply within the first 48 hours of a posting going live. Getting into that initial review batch is absolutely crucial. And step 3, if you know anyone at the company, send a concrete direct message stating you just applied. Internal referrals bypass the volume stack entirely in most tracking systems. I mean, one simple internal mention is worth 40 cold applications.
Moving to stage 4, in process. In process silence occurs when you have had an initial screening or a first round interview, you thought it went great, and then communication just completely stops. Because you actually spoke to a real person, this one feels like a direct verdict on you, but it usually isn't. More often than not, the role was put on a budget hold, the hiring manager lost the open headcount, or an internal candidate appeared mid-process and the team just simply failed to notify you. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. Just look at the numbers. A full 36% of candidates wait 1 to 2 months after an interview with 0 response. That is over a third of people just left hanging. Candidates almost universally do the exact wrong thing here. They send one polite follow-up, get no reply, and then awkwardly go quiet because they don't want to seem desperate. Your goal at this stage is not to revive the decision. Your goal is to convert the relationship. Here are the exact steps for a clean exit. Wait exactly 1 week after your expected decision date. Then, send a brief note to the hiring manager, not HR. Keep it under 80 words. Reference something specific you discussed, express that you'd welcome being considered for future openings, and ask absolutely no questions. Then, stop. Make a clean exit. This transforms you from a disappearing applicant into a true professional who leaves a lasting, good impression.
Finally, the new diagnostic framework.
Now, what's really interesting is when we view the entire diagnostic landscape side by side. Just look at how identical the surface symptoms are, yet how drastically different the actual causes and immediate fixes are. If your applications are stalling right at the start, you apply the terminology fix. If you're getting lost in the middle, you fix your timing and use direct outreach. Applying the wrong fix to the wrong stage is exactly why so many highly qualified people stay stuck in the silence loop. The old advice of simply applying to more jobs comes from a market that no longer exists. Pouring more volume into a broken funnel just creates more silence. Instead, you need to shift your mindset. Treat every 2-week block of your job search as a controlled experiment. Track exactly where your applications are going silent, diagnose the specific failure point, and apply the targeted fix. Silence is no longer a verdict on your worth. It's simply a compass pointing to the exact step you need to correct. When you start viewing rejection silence as data, you take back your power in the application process. You stop guessing, you stop taking it personally, and you start optimizing. So take a look at your current job search approach. Are you ready to read the silence and fix the right thing? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.